من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين واللعنة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين أما بعد. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah for the barakat of this time that we have together on this Tuesday night where we seek the wasila of the Ahlul Bayt and hope to attain greater proximity to Allah. One of the secrets of Dua-e-Tawassul is the dua that we take a moment to recite after we have paid our salam to the 12th Imam. And if you notice, the final end of Dua-e-Tawassul is asking Allah that, oh Allah, these du'as that we made, we ask that you take the shafa of the Ahlul Bayt to fulfill our du'as and fulfill our needs. And this is a dua that you can do at any time. And one of the ways that you can do it is simply to recite salawat before and after you make your dua, and then ask Allah by the wasila of this salawat to accept our du'as and our hajat. We've been discussing the biography of the 14 Masoomeen, and we've been talking about the life of Imam Ali. And the life of Imam Ali can be split into three areas. One is his time in Makkah with the Holy Prophet. Two is his time in Medina with the Holy Prophet. And three is the 30 years after the Holy Prophet. And even that can be split into two time periods, where the 30 years after the death of the Holy Prophet, that 25 years on one side and 4 years and 9 months on the other side, where he actually has open khilafat. But we're up to the second portion of the life of Imam Ali, where we talk about his time in the city of Medina with the Holy Prophet. This begins in the year 622, which is the year of Hijrah, actually, the first year of Islam. And these 10 years in the life of Imam Ali, and it's a period of 10 years, is a 10 years of distinction, of demonstrating the superiority of Imam Ali, the close affiliation of Imam Ali, his attachment, his connection to the Holy Prophet and his service to the religion of Islam. And these 10 years established the uniqueness of his relationship that can't be competed with on any grounds. Anyone who is a student of history can take a look and see what Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib offered to Islam was second only to the Holy Prophet, that he was the one who sacrificed as the Holy Prophet taught him to, and he was the one who learned to sacrifice and give for Islam, and did so in honor of the Holy Prophet and at the command of the Holy Prophet, nothing less than that. There is no comparison between Rasulullah, who is known as Rahmatul lil Alameen, and the Ahlul Bayt. The Ahlul Bayt are the reflection of the Noor of Rasulullah, and Amir al-Mu'mineen is no different than that. There are sometimes fallacies that are attributed that basically that are nonsensical in essence, to say that, for example, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib was any comparison to the Holy Prophet. No, he was the one who learned at the hands of the Holy Prophet, and the one whose superiority and greatness in society is because of his proximity to the Prophet. And this begins immediately at the event of a Hijrah. As soon as our Prophet enters the city of Medina, we mentioned that one of the amazing things he did was he created unity and created a community that didn't exist before. And one of the ways that he did that was the pact of brotherhood that he created between the Muhajir and the Ansar. The Muhajir being the people who left everything they had in Makkah, and the Ansar, the people of Medina who had accepted the religion of Islam. And the first thing that he does is he says, every Muhajir shall have a brother in the Ansar to help support him, establish him, and create equity between the two of these groups, that these who are the refugees and these who are the locals, it should not happen that there's a class war between these two because some gave and some didn't give, and that equity by creating brotherhood would create a common ground amongst all of them. As our Prophet does this, it turns out that the only of the Muhajir who had no brother to partner with him was Ali ibn Abi Talib. And Imam Ali goes to our Holy Prophet and he complains, Ya Rasulullah, you made brothers of everyone, but you didn't give me a brother. And Rasulullah turns and says, Oh Ali, you are my brother in this world and in the hereafter, and I will be your partner. This unique establishment is one of the first demonstrations amongst all of the people of Medina to show the special status of Imam Ali. And Imam Ali's continuation through this process was one of the ways that we started to see that across the next 10 years, there'll be great distinction laid upon him, including one of the next events that takes place is the matter of Bibi Fatima's wedding. That at this time is when there is a opportunity to marry the daughter of the Prophet. Many people put their hand forward, but Rasulullah accepted none until it was divinely appointed that Imam Ali should be the one who marries Bibi Fatima. And when Najmi Ida Hawa is an entire surah that actually comes and discusses this concept of how the selection of Imam Ali as the spouse for Bibi Fatima takes place by Allah's divine distinction upon Imam Ali. Now, the marriage between Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima is something unique in history. And it's something that, inshallah, as we talk about the biography of Bibi Fatima, we'll spend more time in. But it was one of the uniquenesses that, for example, even Amr ibn As, one of the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt, would say that Ali ibn Abi Talib possessed certain distinctions that if I should have them, it would be better for me than even red camels to possess them, which was the most expensive and valuable item that could be possessed in Arabia. And he would mention that one of those attributes was exactly this, that he married the daughter of the Holy Prophet when no one else did. Imam Ali then from here begins his process of supporting the Holy Prophet in Islam and the campaigns and the battles of Islam. We mentioned the first three major battles of Islam, Badr, Uhud, and Khandaq. All three of these, Imam Ali played a unique role in supporting the religion of Islam. In the Battle of Badr, we see that 70 of the enemies are killed. Half of them are killed by Imam Ali in that battle. So the first battle of Islam, Imam Ali is responsible for killing half of all of the soldiers that were killed in the army of the munafiqeen, of the mushrikeen. And famously, one of them, who was Walid bin Utbah, who was one of the champions of the mushrikeen, of the pagans and polytheists of Mecca, was killed at the hands of Imam Ali. The second battle, in the Battle of Uhud, which is an amazing strategical battle and discussion about how the Prophet planned it, how the Muslims let him down, and what was the consequence of this. The Battle of Uhud, in terms of its detail, is one of the most exposing items of how the Muslimin of that time truly were. The Battle of Uhud was a battle, the second battle. So after the Meccans lost in Badr, they raised a larger army and came to seek revenge against the Muslims, and they came to the Battle of Uhud. And Uhud being a mountain, the Prophet had the strategic position where he could position his men on the mountain, cover his side and flank, and wage a war that would restrict the advantages that the Meccans had in terms of number and strength. And what happens is that the first skirmish between these two armies, the Muslims win the skirmish, they win the battle, and the army of the polytheists runs away. The Muslims who had been protecting the flank and the side of the army of Muslims ran away from their post on the mountain of Uhud, and as such, allowed the enemies to circle around and attack the Muslims from the flank. And the Muslims, busy collecting war booty from their first win, were unaware and caught off guard, and many ran from the battlefield in this instance. There were very few who remained and supported the Holy Prophet and protected the Holy Prophet. And the leader amongst the protectors of the Holy Prophet was none other than Imam Ali. It's narrated to say that Imam Ali's body was covered in wounds from protecting the Holy Prophet at the end of the Battle of Uhud, to the extent where some say 70 wounds, others say 90 wounds, and even others say 100 wounds were on the body of Ali ibn Abi Talib from sword, spear, and arrow from defending the Holy Prophet. Imam Ali at this point in time is a young man of approximately 13, 20, approximately 10, 23 is when he gets to Medina. He's about 25 or 26 years of age in the Battle of Uhud. And one of the interesting stories that comes about is that an arrow had actually struck the ankle of Ali ibn Abi Talib that could not be removed because of how painful it was. And the Prophet famously gave the instruction that wait until Ali is in prayer, then remove the arrow. Imam Ali was a young man of 26 when they're describing that his focus in prayer was so much that when Imam Ali was praying, you could remove the piece of an arrow from him and it wouldn't be something that he noticed. Which of us at 26 prays like that? Which of us at even 56 prays like that? But this was the beauty of Imam Ali, that he's that one who is this confluence of attributes that would be so polarizing that it would be impossible to see them in one person, yet we saw them in Imam Ali. Famously, we see that Imam Ali defends the Prophet in the Battle of Uhud, protects the life of the Holy Prophet who was injured in the Battle of Uhud, and rallies the Muslimin to defeat and scatter the pagans in the Battle of Uhud. And this is, while in many historical books it's seen as either a loss or a draw for the Muslimin, we see that the persistence of the life of the Holy Prophet is the most significant element, that the victory of the pagans would have been that they killed the Prophet, and that they were never victorious in the fact that the Prophet continued to live and continued to preach and propagate his message. Which is why the third battle that takes place is known as the Battle of Khandaq. And this is where 10,000 of the pagans from all of Arabia gather against the Muslimin. And famously, a trench is dug that none of the enemies can cross into the Muslim territory, and they wind up in a siege situation. There's only one person who makes it through the siege, and this is known as Amr ibn Abd, who was the most fierce champion of the pagans. You see, warfare in Arabia was something that was a well-established practice, and there were techniques and processes to this, including that when two armies would meet, that first the champions would meet amongst themselves, and sometimes a war could actually be resolved by the champions fighting as opposed to the entire armies fighting. In this situation where the Meccans realized that we can't take advantage of sending our entire army over to attack the Muslimin, sending our champion may be just enough to kind of break the spirit and to break the back of the Muslimin and kill and end this process. And in this, they send Amr ibn Abd across the trench, and he alone makes it through. And he stands in front of the Muslims alone, and he invites them to single combat. Famously, what's narrated is that the Muslim soldiers were in a tent with the Holy Prophet, and Amr ibn Abd is outside calling out and saying, who amongst the Muslims will come and fight me? Who will be the one to face me? And the Prophet inside of the tent is saying to his soldiers and his companions that I guarantee whoever fights this soldier will be guaranteed heaven. And there'd be some people who would want to get up, and famously what would happen is that somebody would stand up and say, Ya Rasulullah, I'll go. And one of the companions would stand up and tell him, sit down. You don't know who you're fighting against. There's no way you can win. Famously, this companion who was saying, sit down, he eventually became a leader, said to the people that he said, Amr ibn Abd is that one who I've seen use a baby camel as a shield in one hand as he fought off soldiers. What do any of you think you can do against him? So our Prophet would ask, will anyone stand up? And I guarantee you heaven. And the only one who would stand up consistently was Imam Ali. Everybody else who would stand up would then lose their nerve because of hearing these stories and these other statements by these people and get scared. And Imam Ali is famously the one who gets the permission from the Holy Prophet to go out and to fight. And the Prophet explains and says about Ali ibn Abi Talib that the strike of Ali ibn Abi Talib on the day of Khandaq is better than all of the ibadat of all of humanity from the beginning of time until the end of time. Imam Ali steps out to Amr ibn Abd, and the conflict is quite famous, and the description is quite famous. The most impressive thing about this battle that Imam Ali takes place is that, one, it's such a decisive battle that it breaks the spirit of the 10,000 men who were on the other side of this trench, to the extent where they lay siege, but they eventually give up on trying to beat the Muslimin and retreat with the only battle that took place between Imam Ali and Amr ibn Abd. And what's famous is, and it's preserved till today, is the elegies that were written about Imam Ali from this battle by the sister of Amr ibn Abd. So the man that Imam Ali kills, the soldier, the champion that Imam Ali kills, that champion's sister writes about the dignity and honor of Imam Ali, that he did not, Imam Ali winning over her brother, didn't disgrace him and didn't defile his body. And what a great champion he must be. And this is one of the most interesting places in history that even those who weren't Muslim were acknowledging and declaring the character of Imam Ali. And that's something special. After the Battle of Khandaq comes the next major battle, which is the Battle of Khaybar. And the Battle of Khaybar, again, is a battle in which the leadership of the army is given to a number of people to defeat the fort of Khaybar. And none of them could do it until eventually the Holy Prophet says that tomorrow I will give the banner to one who is brave and who Allah loves, and Allah loves, who loves Allah and Allah loves him, and I love and he loves me. Now, what's famous about the Battle of Khaybar is that Imam Ali was said to have been ill at that time. So when he's ill, all of the other soldiers are thinking that, oh, it can't be Ali ibn Abi Talib. The Prophet loves one of us so much, and Allah loves one of us. And each of them prayed that night to receive the banner to be the leader of the army to attack Khaybar and to bring victory to the Muslimin. Yet when the time came, our Prophet only called Imam Ali, and Imam Ali was the one who came and defeated the army at Khaybar. And this battle was one of the most significant battles in the history of Islam, in the sense that prior to this, Islam and Muslimin did not have great wealth. And upon defeating the fort of Khaybar, a large amount of wealth and weaponry came into the possession of the Muslimin that gave them the ability to become a powerhouse in all of Arabia, which is why after the victory of Khaybar is where we see the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah taking place. And the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah is that after the Battle of Khaybar, the Muslimin are in such force and such wealth that the Prophet takes the Muslims and proceeds to the city of Makkah, in spite of the war between the pagans and the Muslims, to perform the Hajj pilgrimage. And when the Prophet takes the Muslimin to the Hajj pilgrimage to the city of Makkah, the pagans refuse to let the Prophet enter and instead sign a peace treaty with the Holy Prophet that's known as the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah, that was written by the hand of Imam Ali initially. And Imam Ali started to write it, and he wrote that this is a peace treaty between the Prophet of Allah, Rasulullah, and the pagans of Mecca. And the pagans argued and said that you shouldn't write the Prophet of Allah in this, you shouldn't write Rasulullah, because if we agreed that he's Rasulullah, we would submit to him. We don't agree he's Rasulullah, so don't give him this title. And the Prophet says, that's fine, remove the title, O Ali. And Imam Ali refuses. This refusal of Imam Ali and this attribute of Imam Ali being the scribe of the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah demonstrates the variety of not just skill, but authority that he possessed. That not only was he a champion on the battlefield, but he was also the voice of Islam that the Prophet utilized to go out and build peace as well. You see, most often a soldier is someone who only specializes in warfare. Imam Ali is being the one to initiate the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah on the command of the Holy Prophet demonstrates that he wasn't just a soldier, he was so much more than that. And that he had the statesmanship to be one who brings about peace as well too. And he can create a commonality among society without sacrificing his morals and his position, which is why he refuses to scratch out that this is the Prophet of Allah that they are making a treaty with. This, if you look at the detail within this event of the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah, it demonstrates how special and unique the role of Imam Ali was, that he was qualified to both fight against the enemy, to create peace with the enemy, but never sacrifice morality, never sacrifice faith. And that is the entire purpose of an imam. And this was a demonstration of his authority as an imam, that he would be the one who preserves Islam, can defend Islam, and create a position for Islam amongst the entire world had he been given that position and authority. The Treaty of Hudaybiyyah, we mentioned before as well too, was one of the important elements in the history of Islam that allowed for the flourishing of Islam. But eventually when the treaty is broken and Suratul Bara'a is sent, or it's also known as Surah Tawbah, is sent to be recited to the people of Mecca, the one who is given the authority to recite that surah, initially the surah is sent with Abu Bakr. But Jibreel comes to the Holy Prophet and says, Ya Rasulullah, only you or one who is from you can recite this surah, not anybody. And at this very famous event that Imam Ali is then sent to take the surah from Abu Bakr and recite it himself in Mina and in Hajj to all the people of Makkah and of Arabia, is something unique to demonstrate that he was the only one who had this position and this authority. After this, we see that the conquest of Makkah takes place, and Imam Ali is the helper of the Holy Prophet in the conquest of Makkah as well too, where in this situation, we see that when the Prophet comes to cleanse the Kaaba, because when the Prophet wins victory over the people of Makkah and conquers the city of Makkah, the Kaaba, which is the house of Allah, is filled with the idols of the pagans and polytheists of all of Arabia. In this event, when the Kaaba is filled with these idols, the Prophet says, remove all of these idols from the house of Allah. And it is Imam Ali who assists the Holy Prophet in removing the idols, to the extent where at one point in time, to remove some of the idols that were higher up, Imam Ali is invited by the Prophet to climb on the shoulders of Rasulullah to remove some of the idols that were too high. This description, again, the symbolism is very prevalent for us to take a look and see that Rasulullah is introducing the closeness and the proximity to Imam Ali and the uniqueness of the relationship with Imam Ali that no one else possesses. That he is the one who is able and is permitted by Risala, by Nabuwwat, to be that close that he could stand on the shoulders of Risala to complete the message and the responsibility of Nabuwwat with him. It in no way implies that Na'uzubillah, that Imam Ali is Na'uzubillah impossibly greater than the Holy Prophet, but rather that he is a piece of the Holy Prophet and he is a tool of the Holy Prophet that has that close of a relationship with him that he can be empowered to execute from the Holy Prophet. Along with this, we see that there's, for example, the Battle of Hunain, the Battle of Tabuk. The Battle of Tabuk is that, or the campaign of Tabuk is that one which takes place after this, where the Prophet goes alone and leaves Imam Ali behind. And this is the only campaign that our Prophet did without Imam Ali. And famously, when this is going to happen, Imam Ali is left in the city of Medina, and the Prophet plans to go ahead and takes the entirety of the army and all of the soldiers with him, to where the enemies of Imam Ali were chiding him and saying that, oh, as the women and children are staying behind, so are you, Ali ibn Abi Talib, staying behind in the city of Medina. To demonstrate the position of Imam Ali goes and he complains to the Holy Prophet as the Prophet is leaving the city of Medina on this campaign. And he says, Ya Rasulullah, have you left me behind you because you are angry with me? Have you left me behind because I have no value to you? And Imam Ali is then comforted by the Holy Prophet, by the Prophet taking the moment to say, Oh Ali, you are to me as Harun was to Musa. This event is famously known as Hadith Manzil. Hadith Manzil is one of the authentic proofs in history that is universally agreed upon. Because remember, all of the Muslim men were with the Prophet watching this event take place and the status of Imam Ali being explained to them. That everybody agrees that the Prophet collectively said, Oh Ali, you are to me as Harun was to Musa, except that there is no Prophet after me. أنت بمنزلتها مني هارون من موسى إلا أنه لا نبي بعدي. You are to me, or you have the position that Harun had to Musa to me, except that there is no prophet after me. So the same way that in the Quran we take a look and we see that Nabi Musa alayhi salam, when he has to go to Fir'aun, says, Oh Allah, give me a legatee, an appointee, my brother, my companion, my supporter would be with me in my message. And he says, give me Harun. In the same way, Rasulullah is given Imam Ali in this role to be his legatee and his supporter. In the same way, Musa leaves his nation for 30 days and then 10 more, the one that he leaves in charge is Harun. In the same context, Rasulullah is explaining that, oh Ali, you are the only one who is close to me that can be my authority when I am not present. And this was a demonstration of the proximity that Imam Ali held that was unparalleled amongst anybody else at that point in time. These descriptions in this 10-year period of time were to demonstrate that the position of Imam Ali was unique and only he held such a close relationship with the Holy Prophet. So much so that when we take a look at the period of the end of the life of the Holy Prophet after the event of Mubahila, after the demonstration that Imam Ali is referred to as Nafsir Rasul, that at the end of the life of the Holy Prophet, the Prophet had dictated that a campaign would be leaving under Osama, who was a young man. And everybody was instructed to leave on that campaign except for Imam Ali. And those who were instructed refused to leave because they knew that the time of the death of the Prophet was close. And if they left, then they would have no possibility to steal the authority of the leadership of Islam after the death of the Holy Prophet. And this is why the campaign of Osama takes all of these major companions that we talk about, most of them, and gives them instruction to go on a campaign away from the city of Medina, and they refuse. To the extent where the Prophet makes a statement at the end of his life that those who do not go on this campaign with Osama, my curse on them, the curse of Allah on them, and they still refuse to go. Imam Ali in that situation was not one who was told to go with Osama and was told to stay with the Holy Prophet. And he is actually present at the time of the Shahadat of the Holy Prophet, where Imam Ali describes and he says, in the sickness of the Holy Prophet, I was the one who held him close to my chest. I was the one who was next to him when his soul was taken. I am the one who was with him in that final moment of his life. And this is that status of the successorship of Imam Ali. And that after this is where we take a look at the initiation of the third process of the life of Imam Ali after the Holy Prophet, which is a very painful and difficult period in his life and causes great grief and loss to him. The first of those was that the death of the Holy Prophet was something that everybody else was busy fighting for power. And Imam Ali alone was doing the ghusl, the kafan, the shrouding, and the praying over, and preparing for the burial of the Holy Prophet when no one else was with him. And that was something that he and the Ahlul Bayt did alone, without him and the Banu Hashim, and the Ahlul Bayt did without the support of anyone. Why? Because everybody was fighting for political power, and Imam Ali was honoring and giving distinction to the Holy Prophet. Even this attribute at the end of the life of the Holy Prophet, where Imam Ali's priority is taking care of the Prophet, not seeking power, was a demonstration of both the superiority of Rasulullah in the eyes of Imam Ali and the priority of Imam Ali at caring for Rasulullah and caring for Islam over caring for his own status and his own authority. Imam Ali famously says in his life, and he says, that if you promised me all of the authority of this world and everything between the heavens and the earth, and to achieve that, all I had to steal was one morsel of food from the mouth of an ant, I would not do it. These were the attributes that Rasulullah was demonstrating to us about Imam Ali during his life and wanted us to know about this great personality and to show where leadership and authority goes after Rasulullah, which is why we have a variety of different hadith from our Holy Prophet, which describe and say, where he would explain, O Salman, if you see all of humanity go into one valley and Ali go into another valley, you follow Ali. He would explain to the people that Ali is with Haqq, that Haqq is with Ali and Ali is with the Haqq. Haqq follows Ali wherever Ali goes. When Ali turns, Haqq turns behind him. This hadith, Ali ma'al Haqq wal Haqqu ma'a Ali, or al Haqqu ma'a Ali wa Ali ma'al Haqq, that Ali is that justice is with Ali and Ali is with justice. The significance of this statement was our Prophet was explaining that when you are in doubt, and this is an authentic hadith that's accepted by everyone, that when you are in doubt of what is truth, what is justice, you don't have to question Ali ibn Abi Talib. Rather, wherever Ali is where Haqq is. So should everything become confusing to you, follow Ali ibn Abi Talib. And if you follow him, you will be able to find out where truth and justice is. And truth and justice can be nowhere except for where Ali is. And this is why our Prophet would explain, he says, "Oh Ali, after me, the only way to know who is a true believer is the one who is your follower. And had it not been for you, O Ali, that after me, it would have become impossible to know who is truthful in their belief of Islam and who is not." This 10 years of the life of Imam Ali is significant to us in that it demonstrates many of the fada'il of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And it also created that firm establishment that as the religion of Islam grew, Rasulullah did not hide where successorship would go, which is why the event of Ghadir Qum in the final Hajj was not a surprise. The Prophet's declaration of the status of Imam Ali in front of the people and Allah's declaration that following Ali is the completion of religion. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinukum. When Allah says in the Quran, today I have perfected for you your religion, it was to say that up until this point in time, you could be a Muslim and not love Ali and not want to follow Ali. But that after the completion of the message of the Holy Prophet was that to complete religion, you can't have faith without Ali ibn Abi Talib as part of your faith. And so these 10 years were demonstrating the position of Imam Ali, showing people the unique fada'il and good characteristics of Imam Ali. We're showing the involvement of Imam Ali in the establishment of the religion of Islam, so that if Islam is to persist, in whose hand should it be? The one who is the victor and champion in all these battles, the one who is a unique one to recite and present the Quran, the one who is the scribe of the Holy Prophet that wrote the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah, the one who is the one that the Prophet declared that you are to me as Harun was to Musa, or anybody else other than this. There was no other way for us to expect and imagine that if we study the biography of the Holy Prophet and we study these 10 years, that you will see again and again the unique attributes of Ali ibn Abi Talib that are special, that indicate and show that there should be no one in authority after the Holy Prophet other than Imam Ali after the Holy Prophet. So this period of time is a great period of analysis to look at from the perspective of what was the role of Imam Ali in the establishment of the religion of Islam, which is why the famous statement that says that Islam is built on two things: the wealth of Khadija and the sword of Ali ibn Abi Talib. That the first 13 years of Islam, you can't imagine the persistence of Islam without the support of Bibi Khadija. The same way, the second 10 years of Islam, during the preaching of the Holy Prophet, you can't imagine the success without the support of Ali ibn Abi Talib in that situation. Inshallah, next week we'll continue our discussion around the period after the death of the Holy Prophet and how Imam Ali then proceeds for the next 25 years before the 4 years of his khilaf. ندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم. We raise our hands in dua. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Mahmud بحق محمد يا أعلى بحق علي يا فاطر السماوات بحق فاطمة يا محسن بحق الحسن يا قديم الإحسان بحق الحسين. Oh Allah, accept a small ibadah from us. Ya Allah, forgive our sins and cover our flaws. Ya Allah, by the tawassul and seeking of the intercession of the Ahlul Bayt, fulfill our hajat. Cure our sick ones and give aman to the mu'mineen wherever they are. Oh Allah, hasten the appearance of Sahib al-Zaman. Make us and our families from the upright supporters of Sahib al-Zaman, and entitle us the Shafa of Imam Hussain in this world and the hereafter. رحم الله من يقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.